Check it.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another video, and today we are here for an Ask Hippo. So it has been a while since I did one of these. Obviously, in the Ramble vlog I did a few days ago, I asked you guys to ask me a few questions, and we're going to go ahead and answer a few now. Now, if some of your questions have been cut out, if some of your questions have maybe been modified slightly, that is just because I kind of want to make them more specific, or maybe I just haven't got enough time. And if your question hasn't been answered at all, that's my mistake. I think I put all of them in there, but I kind of trimmed a few down because I had like 3 or 4 questions in, and I obviously wasn't going to answer 3 or 4 questions because I really want to get this done in like under 10 minutes. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get straight into this video. So, the first question is from Odipa. I'm so sorry if I said your name wrong. His first question is, what's your favourite game of all time? And his second question is, how did you meet Theo, aka Black Panther? So, my favourite game is probably Underground 2, and I know that's like a really typical answer you would expect, but it is. I played so much Underground 2 as a kid, and it is just my favourite game. If we're talking about like non-Need for Speed games, then I'm gonna say probably GTA 4. That game was unreal. And on to your next question, how did I meet Black Panther? This is kind of a funny story actually. So basically, originally I DM'd him and I said, "Hey bro, collab, yeah, get the." And basically that was where it started, and then I went into his forum, which now is kind of like no one goes on it really, but I went into his forum and started chatting there, and then like we had a bit of beef, and then we didn't have beef, and now we're friends, and that's basically how it is. The next question is from Atomic420YT, and his question is, when will you change your hairstyle? Wow. Next up, we have a question from Daniel Sarang, and he's got 2 questions. His first question is, when was the last time you tried any Japanese food? And if you were to be the president or king of any country, which one would it be and why? So, number 1, last time I tried any Japanese food was probably some type of sushi, and it was probably a few months ago. I don't know why we haven't had sushi recently. Mom, why haven't we had sushi? She's not answering. I know she's outside there, but she's not listening. This is for my YouTube channel. And as for being a country, and as for being a president or a king of any country, I think it would be an idiotic decision not to say the United States or Russia. It has to be one of those two, just because they're the biggest. I think I'd go for the US. They just seem more civilized and more like the UK, and that just seems more, you know, plausible. And, you know, no one's going to fuck with the United States, so the US it is. The next question is from Cole Starkman, and his question is, what's your favourite racing game of all time? Now, kind of answered this earlier on, it's Underground 2. I mean, if you want to go in top 3, I'd say Underground 2 and Most Wanted 2005 are extremely close. I'd say it'd be pretty hard to pick between those two. And then maybe, I don't know, Underground 1 after that? I don't really know. But my favourite one of all time is definitely Underground 2, coming very, very closely by Most Wanted 2005. The next question is from Win3 Apollo, and his question is, if the crew had tuning, customization, and car variety, would you love it more than NFS? Well, as for car variety, it's already got that really. I think it's one of the most varied games out there, in, you know, besides obviously Horizon. So I kind of would knock that one off. Customization and tuning, I don't know. I think the tuning aspect's kind of there with the performance parts, but obviously the car customization isn't. The crew for me, where it is let down is by the physics. The physics feel really sloppy and really slidey and, you know, very unpredictable. Need for Speed kind of suffers from some of the same issues, but it's nowhere near the extent that it is for the crew. Like, for Need for Speed, I can kind of judge when a car is going to flick out to the side, but for the crew, like, when you come off a jump, it's literally 50-50 whether your car is going to buckle or not, and that's never a good thing. If they sorted out the physics, I'd play a lot more of the crew, but I think it'd take a lot more for it to be better than Need for Speed, in my opinion, just because Need for Speed has a lot more in certain aspects. I mean, where Need for Speed does well, the crew does well, and where the crew does well, Need for Speed doesn't, and that's like, it's like kind of like a back and forth, like PvP. Need for Speed doesn't have PvP, then you got the customization, the crew doesn't have as good customization, and then you got the big open world, but Need for Speed doesn't have such a big open world, but then, like, you know, it's a back and forth kind of battle, really. But as a preference, I prefer Need for Speed. Mr. Tactical Sloth's question is, what is your dream car lineup? So obviously an R32. In a perfect world, I'd love to get an R32 GTR and an R32 V-Spec 2, just because they're two different versions, and one of them is a bit more of a kind of a race spec version. And then as for other cars, I love the MR2. I've always liked the MR2. The RX-8 is always another car. The Lamborghini Murcielago, like the 2003 version. And that's it off the top of my head, really. S2K maybe. I don't know, if I was rich, I'd just get loads of cars, to be honest, but off the top of my head, I'd definitely get an R32 and a Lambo. Definitely. The next question comes from Peter Jackson, and his question is, are you aiming straight for the GTR, or do you want to go for a GTS-T before obviously going for the GTR? So, basically, I'm going to be trying to go straight for the GTR. So the plan is to get my first car, which I'll get soon, hopefully, maybe, and then around 2021, it's when the insurance goes down to about £4,000. I'm going to go ahead and try to go for the R32. Now, the reason for that is in the UK, insuring rear-wheel drive cars is really, really hard, and plus it doesn't make sense to pay more for kind of a half-assed version, if you kind of know what I mean. You know, the GTR is like the cream of the crop. That's where it's at. You know, as with the GTS-T, it's not really the same kind of thing. Like, if you say R32 GTR and R32 GTS-T, the GTR has more presence, and plus it's kind of the most hardcore version. So me, I'm going to go ahead, aim straight for that GTR in a few years' time, and hopefully we'll get it. So following up that question, America T says, why is the R32 your favourite car? So, I actually don't know. I was one of those kids back when I was like 10, 9, who thought if you said Skyline, the R34 was the only type of Skyline. So I didn't actually know the R32, the R31, the R33 even existed up until like I played Forza Horizon 1, maybe something before that. Like, I was completely oblivious. And then I obviously saw the R32. And at first, it was the R33, which I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. And then I saw the R32 and gave it kind of the time of day. And though it was kind of like an instant connection, it was just like a bang, and I was drawn to it, and ever since then, really, I just wanted an R32. Like, it's literally, like, when I first saw it, I was like, I need that car, it's amazing. And then, not to, you know, obviously go ahead and talk about all of the actual, like, feats it's done in the racing world, with, I think, was it Bathurst, when it almost got banned, or when it did get banned, you know, huge milestones with the Calsonic R32, and you know, it just kind of revolutionized everything, and that made me feel more in love with the car itself. You know, the fact it had more heritage. You know, if you're gonna buy a sports car and you know you want to go for that sports car, having that heritage behind it, I think is quite important. And I think it's safe to say the R32 definitely has that. So it's a multitude of things, but I think it's love at first sight, to be honest. I just love the car. The next question comes from Benedicto Philly, and his question is, what's your favorite BMW? Now, this is a hard one because I quite like BMWs, actually. So my favorite BMWs, the E30 is obviously going to be up there because that's just an amazing car. Who doesn't like the E30? And I kind of want to say the E46, but I don't know. I'm kind of on it right now. I think it's just a bit, I don't know, there's something about it I don't like compared to the E. I'm going to say the E30. I genuinely believe the E30 is my favourite BMW as of now. And maybe the M5 from Hop Shoot 2. I can't remember what the code for it, the chassis name is. But it's like the 2000 M5. So the one, yeah, that one. You know what? I'll put a picture up of it. And the final question is from Boom, and his question is, what are your thoughts on the YouTube community? So I'm assuming he means the whole H3 versus Leafy thing. I think they're both in the wrong to an extent. I'm more reluctant to side with H3 because it seems like he's a lot of the stuff that Leafy used was out of context, but at the same time they're both as bad as each other. I'm kind of on Team Pyro. If you gotta use that, you know, just make it, you know, you don't even have to like the other guy, just make amends and move on and ignore each other. Like, that's just how it should be, and that's how I see this thing panning out. If you're talking about the YouTube community as a whole and all the issues YouTube having as itself, like all the sub boxes not working and all the view counts being broken and shit like that, I'ma say that there's not really much to say on that. You know, just YouTube needs to sort their shit. So, you know, there's kind of two possible ways that question could be answered, and I think I've answered them both. So, thank you for all of your questions for this Ask Hippo. I'm going to be doing another one of these in a few weeks' time, so keep your eyes out on my Twitter, or just a random ramble vlog or something like that where I'll ask questions, or ask you guys to ask questions even, and that'll be it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit the like, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. You guys have been awesome. Stay safe, and peace.